Okay, candidates. Palm Springs is a city that's focused on the arts. They have the Film Festival, Modernism Week, Pride Week, other events like that. The Mid-Valley communities are known as golf destinations. Indio is now the city of festivals. They have Coachella Fest, Stagecoach, and other events like that. These communities seem to be having a lot of success, but they also seem to have a niche, an identity. So I'm going to ask you, what is Cathedral City's identity, and what is its niche? What does it have that the other Valley cities don't have?
And this question goes to Ms. Hooks first.
I believe what this Cathedral City has that the other cities don't have is prime real estate, undeveloped land on Highway 111. And as we regroup with a new council and we build consensus among ourselves, we do some strategic planning, meet with the new city manager, we have a new communications and events manager. All these people are bringing new ideas to the table. It's time to regroup, refocus, and determine what our niche is. I believe we can get some spillover from both ends of the valley. We have, we just had a farmer's market Sunday, and it was very successful. We had several food trucks out. So there's plans right now to develop the downtown area as a festival area. So we're finding our niche, I believe.
Mr. Kaplan, go ahead.
Okay. We do have downtown to develop, and I think we do need a lot of discussion about the downtown plan moving forward. But as I said before, we're a city of neighborhoods, and we're a city of working families. And I think what we need to do is develop programs for our city and for the residents of our city that are exciting enough to bring other people into the city, just as Palm Springs does and Rancho Mirage does. And so I think that what we're really looking at are more family-oriented activities and events, and using the space around City Hall for events and more activities, similar to the ones we've already got a huge number of events going with AMF.
That's time. Mr. McGinnis.
Yeah, I agree with Shelley here. Is Cathedral City already has a niche, and their niche is that they're a family community. We have soccer parks, we have baseball parks, we have wonderful neighborhoods. We need to continue in having activities, holiday activities. I know in San Bernardino we had one of the largest Route 66 venues where over 600,000 people come and see old cars, and that happens on an annual basis. And we could develop all kinds of annual-based events that will attract people to come into our city, but we need to concentrate on the kids and concentrate on the families having a wonderful place to live.
Go ahead.
I think what we have to do is we have to ask the community and say, what is the events that you guys be interested in? 8 years ago, I was with a group of friends. We did El Grito right here, and we have like 8,000 people showing up for the event. And we just ask the community, what kind of projects, what kind of events, and I guess the best thing to do is approach our own community and ask them what would be nice to do. That would be my answer.
Go ahead.
I think what Cathedral City has is opportunity. Even though we're an older city, but we're going to be rebuilding again. So we have the opportunity to be more diversified. We have Shorty's Rib Fest that came in for the last 2 years, has been successful. We got the farmer market that's been just started. I think it's persistence to stay with things. Cathedral City's kind of started and stopped. We have to be persistent in starting these smaller venues, and they're going to grow into something bigger. The Chamber of Commerce, the Mulattoes, has done a fabulous job with it. Possibly the city can work with the new, with Chris Parma, who's just been hired on the city for more events. So I think in the near future, you'll see our niche, you'll see what we have to offer, and people will be coming here. Thank you.
Mr. Saracueta.
Yeah, we have to bring more events that identify the city. They have diverse cities, and we have to bring events that have different kind of entertainment. We have the spaces, we have different areas that we can do that, but we have to work in that area.
John, do you have a follow-up? So since we have touched on a little bit of land development and Cathedral City has this space, I believe, John, you have another question that deals directly with the Cathedral City's new acquisition of space.
Well, and that is just simply, are you a supporter of annexation of the land north of the freeway, and what would you like to see done with it?
And this question will start with Mr. Kaplan.
The answer is yes. It's a tremendous opportunity for the city. There is in fact a developer already interested in developing the land. It gives the city an opportunity for slow growth over time. It gives us a location and a visibility on Interstate 10, which is, I think, very critical for us. It gives us an infrastructure in that location, which will also allow other sections of the north side of the city to use those infrastructure. It gives us an opportunity to move towards 1,000 pounds to an eventual annexation there. And it gives us more tax revenue moving forward, and that's going to be critical for the city as part of the economic development plan.
I agree that the annexation would be great as long as we can properly vet the contractors who are going to want to invest in. You're going to need a master developer who comes in, who's going to be able to invest in the land and have a future with that land, because we're going to need water, we're going to need sewer, we're going to need electricity, and the valley is already short on all of that. So if there's going to be any more development, including the I-10 corridor, which is a great opportunity for us, we're going to make sure that the developer knows that there's going to be a lot of investment opportunity there for them.
Mr. Asensio.
I'm in favor, and I think it's a great opportunity for the city grow. But my questions that I have is that what happened to downtown? I mean, I want to see everything grow at the same time.
Mr. Carvalho.
Yes, I'm all in favor of the 1,000 pounds. It'd be a great start. The developer, I have not met the gentleman, but Bill Messenger, but he brings a lot on the table. He'd be bringing in some homes, he'll be bringing in some hotels, there'd be some fast food restaurants, and the revenue is just going to grow. I think it's a great start to build out by the freeway, and then start building along Date Palm, and everything will start filling in between downtown, Fosco, and the freeway. So I think it'd be a great shot of revenue for Cathedral City. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm not convinced about the location of the land. It's good to have more land for the city, but the location is not the best. We have a lot of empty spaces in better locations like around the city hall, and we have to concentrate in those areas first.
And you can go ahead and finish this one up for us.
To be clear, the annexation that just took place was private property, and the landowner's name is Bill Messenger. He has a 10 to 15 year build-out plan for that, and as Mr. Carvalho said, there is restaurants, hotels, homes, so it is a good thing for the city. I'm in support of that. And we also just passed Measure B, and I was very involved in that, and the original 1% sales tax measure that was on the ballot. And LAFCO has said that without the steady revenue stream from Measure B, that they would not have approved that annexation. So I think it's a good thing.
We're going to break things up really quickly with a little lightning round. We're going to start with Daniela.
Okay. So
Again, try and keep your answers short.
this is a really short answer. So when was the last time that you attended to a city council meeting?
All right, we're going to just start and move on down the line. So you're going to go first, Mr. Asensio. When was the last time you were at a council meeting?
I haven't been in a person for a long time, but I always watch him on TV.
What channel is that?
I believe it's never.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Carvalho.
Probably been about 2 weeks since I did one.
Okay, Mr. Sprequeta.
I mean only the last meeting, the previous meeting.
Mr.
I was at the last meeting.
Okay.
I've been at all of them at least for the last year, except for the special meeting that I didn't know about.
Mr. McGinnis.
I've done hundreds of meetings myself, and here in Cathedral City, I haven't attended because I work till 9 o'clock every night.
Okay. And we're going to go ahead and give Erica a lightning round question as well. With Councilman Stan Henry moving to the mayoral spot, his seat will be open. Should his seat be chosen by an appointment or the next highest vote getter on the November 4th election? All right, and we're going to start with Mr. McGinnis on this one.
Either one works for me, appointment or the next highest. The next highest is obviously the people
Let's
choose.
do a choice, one or the other. Go ahead.
I'll take the highest, the third place winner. The
Okay.
people chose.
Go ahead, Mr. Kaplan.
Oh, the other way. I would probably say no, that I would think that the council should select. I think it's important for the council to select someone that they're going to be comfortable working with. And I had this conversation with someone else. If you have a special election, it's expensive. It's going to be on an off time. You're not going to get a lot of voters out. And then
All right,
whoever's
Ms.
running
Hutz.
is going to have to spend money.
I agree with the democratic process to choose the third highest vote getter.
Mr. Srequeta.
My special election.
Given all the hard work that all of us are doing on this campaign, I think it only got to be fair to go for the third one.
Mr. Sencio.
I agree with
And since we're on the subject, I'll just make you aware of another wrinkle, which is that the seat that was recently vacated by Mr. Vasquez, if he is one of the two top vote getters, then his seat is also called into question whether or not there will be an appointment or a special election. So there is the opportunity for two names to be on the special election if in fact he is the first or second highest vote getter. And speaking of Mayor Stan Henry too, I'll just throw in a quick word for him as well since he is not present, just about his priorities. He says he wants to balance the city budget, promote the local economy, protect police and fire services. He was the police chief for 15 years. He's lived in Cathedral City for 24 years. Says he has a community support from a broad section of our city, a leading public safety advocate. He says he can craft creative solutions to complex problems, and that is why he has been appointed by Supervisor Benoit to the Oversight Board for the Redevelopment Agency's successor agency. He was awarded the Cathedral City Chamber of Commerce Orion Award Man of the Year in 2002, Businessman of the Year Award in 2009. Says he will pledge to work tirelessly to put the needs of the citizens and businesses of Cathedral City in the forefront and restore the excellent reputation of Cathedral City. He wants to concentrate on improving the financial stability of Cathedral City and increasing the transparency of the city council meetings and city operations. Erica, why don't you go ahead and take the next question?
For years, Cathedral City's council has had some sharp political divides. We've seen family members campaign against each other, and we've seen council candidates work to unseat one another. This year's election, with 3 seats changing hands, has the potential to bring in a new perspective. What do you plan to bring to the council that creates a more cooperative atmosphere?
Let's start at the end of the table, Mr. McGinnis.
Removing the 3-ring circus is absolute. It's not unnecessary. When you work with good people, you're going to come to a consensus on things. When you work with people's egos, then you're going to have problems, and we need to get the egos out of the way. All of the people sitting up here are volunteers. All of them are probably good people. There's nothing that's going to cause that kind of rift that we've seen before, and frankly, you shouldn't be dealing with family members because that's always a problem.
Okay, Mr. Asensio.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'll shorten it this time. With three seats are changing hands in this year's election, so what do you plan to bring to the council that creates a more cooperative atmosphere?
Well, I like to bring the community closer to the council members so they can invite the community to get ideas how to proceed. Try to invite more of the community to come into the city council to go to the meetings and stuff like that. I like to see that the whole members we work together like a family, so we can find better solutions.
Mr. Carvalho.
I have an incredible personality. I get along with everybody. Okay, sometimes I get a little bit loud, sometimes I clap my hands, but you know what? At the end of the day, everybody on that council's got to remember one thing. You have to work together for the good of the city. You know, when you have a leader like Stan Henry, he's going to be a phenomenal mayor. I can feel it. And anyone that's sitting on this council, I would be glad and honored to sit with. So the whole thing is work together. You might ruin the 15 seconds, don't ruin your whole days, but work together as a team.
Go ahead.
I think it's not necessary to have confrontation, and in this process has been a clean process. I enjoy spending time with the rest of the candidates, and I think it will be easy to deal with them.
What I bring to the table is not only a woman's perspective, but I grew up in a family of 5 children, being the only girl. So I've learned at an early age how to deal with men and get the woman's perspective across to make my voice heard. I'm a consensus builder, and I'm not afraid to step out and talk to people and try to get to yes from their perspective.
We all think that we can work very cooperatively together, and I think that you have to look at history, and I could give the names of many people that I've worked with and for over the years, and I've always been a consensus builder. I've always been able to work with everyone, and I think that I work right now closely with Greg. I know Stan, can work with Stan very well. So I think it really is a new council, and a council that can work cooperatively together to do strategic planning and to really understand what the goals are and to focus on what the needs of the city are and not the issues of the council members.
Mr. McGinnis. I want to start with you for this next question.
All right.
Okay, this is a question with regards to bankruptcy. Just 2 years ago, Cathedral City had an $8 million budget deficit. The word bankruptcy was even tossed about a little bit. Instead, the city went through, at the time, very controversial cuts to public safety, firefighters, law enforcement agencies. Then the city approved an extension of a 1% increase to sales tax. You talked about Measure B. It now makes the sales tax the highest in the city. What experience do you have dealing with serious fiscal crises as this one was? And what kind of steps would you take to get Cathedral City from becoming on the brink of bankruptcy again?
When I lived in San Bernardino, I was president of the largest homeowners association and ran a $300,000 a year budget for our community, and our dues were $79, and I got them down to $50. And that comes from going through the budget and finding out just exactly how much that we're taking in and how much we need to pay out and what kind of contracts that we have. Working in the city of San Bernardino, we had to do the same thing. When I left there in 2006, they had a $5 million surplus, and then eventually they filed bankruptcy. That's because there are other people that come in and just, they want to spend, when you have to really go over your budget, and that's why I spoke earlier about a forensic audit. You need to get professionals who come in here that knows actuarials and know where we're going to be 2 years down the line and be able to tell us, you're overspending here, this is not what other cities are spending per capita of the people that are in your city. You have to go through and find out just exactly what we're spending and how we're spending it to avoid those kind of problems. I totally agree with that. When you have a deficit, you have to do something about it.
All right. And we are going to continue with this motion too, not to throw anybody off. So Mr. Asensio, you'll go ahead and go next.
Well, you gotta remember, we all experience hard times because of the recession. Me as a businessman, I still do cutting and things like that, but I think we're expecting right now the good times. So let's focus on and see what we did on the past so we can have a better future. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Business 101, it's good management. It's fiscal responsibility. You got to watch your spending. Obviously, if you got more going out than coming in, you have a problem. So there's where you have your good people on your staff. The city manager, he watches. When we were a few years back, when we were having some trouble, the whole city council got together. They worked that budget, burned the midnight oil, and found ways to survive. So it's a group effort. But the whole kicker is watch your spending, be careful where you're giving money to, and contracts as well.
Mr. Spiriqueta.
Yeah, we have to be careful with how to spend the money in time of crisis, and we don't have to spend the money that we don't have it.
Would you repeat the question, please?
This is with regards to bankruptcy and the tough times Cathedral City has really just recently pulled itself out of. What experience do you have of dealing with serious fiscal crises like the one Cathedral City went through just a couple of years ago, and what kinds of steps would you take to keep it from happening again?
I'm glad you asked that question. It gives me the opportunity to talk about what I've done for the last 6 years with Cathedral City. You mentioned the 1% sales tax, and you also mentioned that we're the highest in the city. 9% is what Palm Springs has and what La Quinta has as well. But I was involved with the first measure, the user utility tax. So I worked tirelessly on that, and that passed. Then I was with the first 1% sales tax. I knocked on a lot of doors, talked to a lot of people. Once they became informed about the actual situation of the city, they were able to make an informed decision, and they voted to pass the 1% sales tax. That had a 5-year sunset clause, and then the city brought up a fiscal emergency again and put the measure back on the ballot as Measure B. I was on that committee as well, and we worked and worked and worked, and we got that passed, and that brings in $4.5 million annually.
Go ahead.
I've been budget director for a major research university, which has an annual budget these days of over $400 million. I've been through the dot-com bust. I've been through the energy crisis. I've been through the savings and loan debacle, and I know budgets. I know how to adjust budgets. I know how to reallocate in budgets. I know how to cut budgets. But I do think that we're moving ahead at this point. I think the city's budget is stable but tight. I think we have opportunities for new revenue streams. And I think that that will give us our opportunity going forward.
Okay, let's take a lightning round question now from John White.
Excuse me, can I just have a rebuttal on this one, the topic on the 1%?
All right, let's go ahead.
Okay, the 1% tax, I voted for it. I was really upset with the sunset clause. And what I'd like to see, if I'm lucky enough to get on this panel or this council or anyone else, within a few years, recall that 1% tax and vote it taken back.
Would any other candidates like to add to that?
Thank you, Teresa. I would have liked to have seen Measure B have a sunset clause as well.
Since you brought up Measure B as being a big backer and talked about the expiration of it, is that something you would eventually like to see happen? Ms. Stokes.
I agree that it should have had a sunset clause. There's several things that we could do with it. For example, the way Palm Springs has their Measure J, and they've issued bonds against that income coming in order to do big projects. If the economy continues to rise and increase, we could do that, or there always is an escape clause, the way the measure is written, that there can be an initiative put on the ballot to take it off.
Okay. John, want to go ahead with your...
Should someone's personal finances be subject to people, should people use that information to make the decision on who to vote for council?
Okay, so, should we say...
Should personal finances be an issue for voters?
All right, this is going to be a yes or a no. Go ahead, Mr. Asensio.
Should voters be concerned with the candidate's personal finances?
Is that something that should be made public and be discussed prior to the election?
No.
Oh. Okay. Mr. Carvalho.
I say no.
No.
I say yes because it lets the public know how they will handle the city's money if they can or cannot handle their own personal finances.
I would say no.
They say the citizens should be able to decide whatever they want. If they want to know about their finances, that's fine with me. I don't have any money. But I'm not in debt either. So that's
all right. We have time for... Okay. Let's take this last question from Daniela.
Okay. So
After the resignation of one of the city council members who was charged with criminal activity, will you consider that a council member in a situation in that kind of situation, at what point should the council member resign?
Let's start with Mr. Kaplan this time.
Can you repeat that? I'm not sure I got the full.
After the resignation of one of the city council members who was charged with criminal activity, would you consider that a council member in a situation like that, at what point should the council member resign?
I think I'm not sure you're indicating whether the person was found guilty or not. I think that if a person is not found guilty, our code of justice is a person's innocent until found guilty. And so I would think that that should happen once the person is found guilty. Or if.
Okay. Mr. McGinnis.
Definitely you have to wait until the person is convicted. You can't arbitrarily ask people to resign. You may want to ask them to resign because it's creating too much controversy for your city and say, hey dude, you know, this is causing too many problems. Would you mind getting out of the way right now? But
You mean like a name being put on the ballot?
right, unfortunately.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Sencio.
Well, can you repeat the question? I'm trying to understand that.
Yes. So, after the resignation of one of the city council members who was charged with criminal activity recently, will you consider that a council member in a situation similar to the one the city just lived, at what point should the council member resign to his or her position?
I believe that we have laws, and then we cannot make a judgment on anybody until we find them guilty, and that's what the system does for us. That's what we may ask.
Okay. Mr. Carvalho.
You know, that's a real tough one. Cathedral City has got some black eyes over the past, and just recently another one. I think it would only be fair if somebody on the council gets him or herself in trouble. And I think it's only but fair to the residents and citizens and the taxpayers that they step down until their business is solved. It just gives a bad outlook to the city. And if he or she is now proven innocent, then they're welcome back with open arms. But I don't believe that the city should take the heat because of an individual.
I'd ask no applause. Go ahead, Mr. Sergueta.
Maybe not asking to resign, but at least we have to be suspended, and then when the case is done, you can come back.
Go ahead.
I believe in the legal system that a person is innocent until proven guilty, but I think in this instance that you're speaking of, I think it was drawn out way too long.
All right, we're going to conclude tonight's forum with a quick lightning round, and we're going to ask the candidates how long they've lived in Cathedral City. Hopefully that will shed light for you voters on how well they understand the issues and the city's history. We're going to start with Ms. Hooks on this one. Go ahead.
10.5 years.
Mr. Kaplan.
I bought my first house in 2008.
How long have you lived here?
I've lived here full time for 2 years.
Thank you.
I started dating my wife in 2004. She's been here 25 years. And then we got married in 2006. And so I've been here a little over 8 years.
Okay, full-time resident.
Full time.
All right.
I've been full-time resident for about 8 years and business owner for about almost 20.
14 years.
20 years.
All right, thank you so much to all of the candidates and to all of you who have been here. That concludes our forum for today. We want to thank all of the candidates and remind you that you still have time to do research on them, and I think that hopefully you got a chance to talk to them individually tonight too. The election is on November 4th. Lynn?
Closing statements.
Closing statements.
I'm fired as a moderator. I don't want them to close.
All right, so let's go ahead. We started our opening statements with Mr. Asensio, so we're going to have him start the the closing as well.
Well, I've been in business in Cathedral City for 20 years, and I always loved the people in Cathedral City. I've been involved in a lot of volunteering work over the years, and it's just amazing the people and the reserve that I have for the city. I'm really proud to be a resident of Cathedral City and also a business owner. Thank you.
Well, we're closing. I'm a straightforward working guy, so let me tell you what we need. Our city needs to thrive again. People must feel safe and happy to live and work here. We must reclaim the momentum we once had. Young and young at heart, working families, retirees. Cathedral City has it all. We need to work harder at serving our growing community, keeping the business we have, bringing new business, never lose sight of our goal. That's to always keep moving forward. Please vote for me November 4th. Thank you.
Mr. Espiricueta.
Yeah, and the same, and I'm asking the Cathedral City resident to vote for me, and I will be there for the resident. Maybe my name is not too visible in the street promotion, but it's visible in the ballot. Thank you.
Over the past 6 years, I worked to pass 3 ballot measures to keep our essential city services operational. It's time to bring back our police, fire, and our city employees for the safety of the entire community. Let's stop talking about past failures and look forward to the new possibilities. We all want our city to thrive and not just survive. We all want to be proud to call Cathedral City home, and I'm a 10-year resident with roots in this community, not just footprints, and I ask for your vote, and I'd be honored to serve you. Thank you.
I moved to Cathedral City because I love the city and I plan on spending the rest of my life here. I have been immersed in the city in the 2 years that I've been here full time, to the point where the City Council has already appointed me as the city's representative to the Vector Control Board and has appointed me a member of the Planning Commission. I believe that I have the skills and the kinds of experience that the city needs to move the city forward, to work cooperatively with the council, to listen to the voters, to get the Latino community more involved in this community, and to really get the city moving forward again. Thank you.
I like to say that Cathedral City is very lucky. They have a great number of people here who have a lot of passion for our city, and I've gotten to have that same passion here too. I'm probably one of the only ones who's been a councilman before. I have a lot of experience. It won't take me long to get to know and understand the books of this city. I represented in San Bernardino. We had 7 different districts. I represented a district that had 30,000 people in it. That's 2/3 the size of Cathedral City. I really got to know a lot of the different people, and it's important to have somebody who's going to be able to hit the ground running. But like I said, you still have some very passionate individuals to choose from. I'm hoping that you'll choose me. Thank you.
Now I think we're looking good. And you can give a big round of applause now. You're not fired. I'd like to thank our candidates that took their time tonight. I thank you for your interest, your passion for this city, and for your desire to be excellent stewards of Cathedral City. We really appreciate it from the chamber. On behalf from the board and the residents and the voters, we thank you for being here, Gary and Gary Howell and Henry Chan as well. To our media panelists, I have to tell you, I was 18 years at the City of Cathedral City handling public relations. This has been a support team. This is just a small sample of the support team that I had in getting Cathedral City's word out. And these are 4 of the best professionals that we have. And I thank you very, very much. And I have to share with Daniela, who is, I have to congratulate you on your new position. Daniela is leaving here from the Valley in 3 weeks, accepting a higher
position in Sacramento for Univision. Congratulations. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Ultrastar Mary Pickford, who is always got our back when it comes to town halls and city events and chamber events. We're most grateful. Forest Lawn, Jessup Auto Plaza, and Southern California Edison, also great supporters of this community, this chamber. They have great faith in Cathedral City, and they always have our back. Thank you. To our board, to my chamber board, thank you very much for your support, and most importantly to you, the residents and the business owners of this community. Thank you for being here. Go vote November 4th. Have a pleasant evening, and thank you very much.